So we're back here getting ready for the TUF 10 finale, and I don't know, I was going to say the villain. I don't know if you are. Actually, I think, my opinion, I think McSweeney passed everybody in the last 2 episodes.
I agree to that 100%. And I think all of us are on the show. We're just waiting for that to happen, and it kind of took. I think it took a lot of us by surprise that they chose to make me such a focus on the show, as like they passed over so many things that happened in the house. But McSweeney's antics mine were dramatic, his were malicious and demeaning, and I think we were all just kind of waiting for that to come out.
Kind of a bully mentality.
Yeah, but what's interesting is nobody else was scared of him except for Zach, but Zach was so timid, he just was out of place there, I mean, he's a good dude, he's a great guy, but just
which one, McSweeney or Zach?
No, I don't like McSweeney at all. Zach. No, Zach's a great dude, man.
And I can imagine that the little bathroom thing where you had him trapped in there and he comes out and he attacks him. I can see any of the rest of you guys throwing him out the window.
We'd have kicked the shit out of him. And in that environment where he can't go anywhere, he's locked into a corner.
Starts doing front kicks and
I mean, dude, he's supposed to be a stand-up guy, and he took me down as soon as he could. I mean, that's to me. I say like, yeah, I kind of question that as well.
All right. Well, what'd you think of? I know you called yourself tapping out like a bitch, and Rashad even said like, you didn't even try. I mean, when you think back on it, you did go down and immediately. I mean, obviously it must have been tight, but immediately you had your hand in position to tap. So kind of take us through that. We're not fighters, so maybe it hurts like hell.
It was it was a poor decision on my part. It was the first time. It was my 3rd fight overall, and it was my first fight that I had. No, my 4th fight overall. The first time I'd ever gone to the ground and got caught in a submission. And I think I just kind of panicked. It was a poor decision on my part, and there's no excuse for it. I mean, it was nothing. It was tight, and I should have fought out. I didn't fight the elbow. I didn't try to tuck my chin. I didn't try to roll. I didn't try to do anything. And it was just. I think it was a moment of where momentary lapse of reason. To quote my guy Pink Floyd, it was just a poor decision.
Did you? We talked before the season that you're friends with some NFL guys, Shockey, I think Pettigrew, right?
Yeah.
Did you talk to them after you lost?
I have not spoken to either one. Actually, I spoke to Jeremy on Facebook, but I haven't spoken to Luke. I talked to Heath Farwell. He's a linebacker for the Vikings. I speak to him. Actually, I was talking to him yesterday, and he was giving me a bunch of shit about it. Like I said, I mean, I can't justify it. I'm not going to make excuse for it. I fucked up. I mean, that's what I did. And I made a mistake. I really don't think that'll ever happen again.
So I was thinking of your NFL background, especially when you had a lot of heat with Rashad, where Rashad was calling you out. I mean, he called you a puss after you lose a fight, but he was questioning your heart and your toughness. And one of the things that struck me was, I think it was your knee, and you were talking about a cortisone shot, your foot. And I'm like, Rashad, he played in the NFL, he played college football. I know you're a big-time athlete too, but this kind of seems ridiculous for you to question him on medicals and all that stuff. He's not some clown.
What he says has zero relevance towards me whatsoever. I couldn't care less about him, McSweeney. For anybody else that was bumping their gums about me and my toughness, they can go to hell. Anybody, if you have a question about my toughness, then I'll drop the 225 and we'll have a catch weight and we'll throw down. We'll see who's really that tough.
Well, he said he would do it. How close were you to fighting when you were in the locker room there when he said you were bowing up, and then I guess during his confessional he's like, oh, he doesn't want part of me.
Well, first of all, I'll take any piece of Rashad that he wants to throw around, but I'm not a Neanderthal. I'm not going to fight people for no reason. And I wasn't close. But the fact is, like, in that situation, they're on top of you all the time. And I told them, leave me alone. Leave me alone for a minute. Let me catch my breath. Let me cool down. And then they're fucking right on top of you. Like for example, I'm married. Anybody that's married knows, or if you have a long-time girlfriend, you get hot. Every once in a while you get hot. Like, hey, just catch your breath. Leave me alone for a little while. Let me get out of here. Cooler heads prevail, so let me relax. And then when they don't, they keep nagging you, well, then shit gets ugly. So I wasn't going to fight anybody. I was just like, dude, just pump your brakes. You don't know me. You're not my coach. You have no idea who I am or what I'm about. Slow down. And I think he was out of place in that situation.
So watching the Jones incident where Marcus comes in, I mean, he basically had a nervous breakdown after finding out, about junk and all that. Well, I mean, look, you can tell us how it developed, and maybe what didn't get on, but how did it come across to you? Did you worry that you kind of looked like a pansy there, or should you have slugged him? I mean, I kind of thought you handled it pretty interestingly. I don't know how many people would just sit there with their head turned with a guy who's 6'6", 280 in their face.
Well, I'm not afraid of Marcus, and I know he's not going to punch me, so I'm not worried about that whatsoever. And in that situation, we saw him coming in. It was Roy. I was looking at Roy. We saw him coming down the hallway, and I actually made a joke. I was like, "Damn!" I was like, "Hey, Roy, look, Marcus is really excited to practice today." He was just humping in there, and he kicked off his flip flops and was just humping in there as fast as he could. And then I was like, "Man, look at that!" I was like, "No shit, look at this." And then next thing I know, he's forward to forward with me, or forehead and hairline, you know, whatever it was. And so I'm sitting there, I was like, and I was like, is he joking? And that's why I kind of kept looking. Like I said, is he joking a couple of different times, and they must cut that out, or I can't remember really I don't remember if they said it or not. And then by the end of it, I was like, I had no clue what it was about, and I was kind of still waiting for a punchline to come around. And then when I kind of figured it was going on too long for a joke, I was like, well, okay, Marcus is a jiu-jitsu guy. He's not going to punch me because if he would, he'd have done it already. But I'm a puncher, and in order to punch, you need some space. I was like, well, this isn't a good situation for me. He's like, so I might as well be cool here. I was like, because I was right up by the cage too. I was like, if I get pinned up and he drops me to the cage, I'm going to be in a really shitty situation immediately. So I was like, it's not a good situation to get any kind of, you know. And like I said, on top of that, like, I'm not trying to get banned from the UFC. I'm not in the NFL. I don't fight for no reason. So it was kind of like, what's the issue here, guy? And then once you find out, and that's why I was like, oh, you're kidding me, man. Right. And like, I felt bad for Junk, and I still feel bad for Junk. I mean, his pupils are still dilated after 6 months. I mean, that sucks. But I mean, shit happens, dude. You know, it sucks. And when I found out what it was about, I think everybody's like, get a hold of yourself.
Well, you know, it sounds like there's a lot more to it than that, because he was saying that you guys had developed a little relationship before the show. You had talked on the phone. Then he said he found out about some text that you had sent to someone, bad-mouthing him. You know, that's the way he took it.
Well, he can take it whichever way he wants. It was just saying that Marcus doesn't have a chin. Yeah. And he told me he doesn't like to get punched in the face, and told me it's really foreign to get punched. I think so. We were discussing with other fighters, like strategies against him. I think, well, Marcus didn't really have a good chin, didn't like to fight, didn't like to stand up. So, like in that situation, I was like, he'd be a guy that if I were to fight him, I'd want to fight him initially because I'm a puncher.
He looks to me like a great prospect. I know he's 36 years old. Obviously, the takedown, he basically, you know, it's like an NFL tackle. His power's great. My only hesitation, and I'm sure this has got to be something you're leaning on, to kind of, I know it's right after a loss, but to kind of break down after and say, I'm done. I don't know. What does that mean when you're in the cage? Is that just because he lost, or do you really think he's kind of always on the edge of like, I'm trying this, but as soon as it goes badly, I'm out?
You know, I'm not going to speculate on what Marcus's thoughts are on that. You know, I think honestly, I think Marcus is a good dude. I think that in any kind of other situation, we'd probably be cool. We'd probably be friends. Mm-hmm. You know, and from that, you know, I can't really give you a good answer. I don't know where he's at. So we'll see. You know, if I knock him out in a couple of days, you know, see what he has to say about that. You know, and I know he said he said afterwards, I guess, that his wife didn't want him to fight anymore. Mm-hmm. I heard that from another guy, so that's kind of second source. But from hearing that, you know, you don't know. Like he said before, I think on the show, he said he didn't want to put his wife through the stress anymore. And I think he said to somebody else that his wife didn't want him to fight anymore after that, after he got knocked out. So you don't know, man. I mean, maybe he just wants to come back and fight me. Maybe I'm the only reason why he wants to come back. But I'm pretty sure he was training for a fight other than, you know, without knowing it was going to be me. But
all right, last one, your condition. Because obviously the first fight was a freaking disaster with Junk. You guys, I don't know if it was a lacking condition or just a lack of pacing. So how much have you improved in basically the 4 months since the show? You feel confident now? You can go 15 minutes. You can throw with reckless abandon and still have energy. I feel that I am in very good cardio shape right now. I would be a complete moron to not focus on A, submission defense, and B, my cardio. Like my strength is always going to be fine. I've actually dropped a substantial amount of weight because when I came in the house I was 270 something, so I had to cut to get in, and now I'm walking around at mid-50s. So I cut that much of, you know, a little bit of body fat and a lot of muscle because I don't need all that extra muscle anymore. And so from that point, I put a lot of attention into, you know, lactic threshold or work capacity, and to see like really what my body can do. And I feel like right now, like my mid-round recovery is about 40 seconds. So I should be good and fresh for it to go, but hopefully I don't think it'll go to the second round. So we'll see. Good deal. You're a little different looking than you were at Purdue. I was looking up the picture. You were quite the squatty defensive tackle at that point. A little extra weight back then. Slightly. Yeah, I think my third chin told me to lose it. Yeah, so yeah, I was a little bit heavier back then.